courts is something that has gone on for so long. The constitution was, the framers of that constitution knew what they were doing when they said that civilians shouldn't be tried in military courts. And the main reason is really that the military takes orders. It works on command. It doesn't work on law. I think you saw what happened in the proceedings of just this week in the case of former presidential candidate kizza, and everyone was saying no logic, no law, no rationality, but it is orders, and we cannot get justice on orders. The Constitutional Court, which is a court mandated to interpret the laws and nullify those that are not in tandem with the Constitution, in 3 decisions said clearly that the military courts have no jurisdiction to try civilians, that they were put there to discipline members of the armed forces. These decisions have been ignored. They were stayed. One of the decisions was stayed, its implementation, in a way that was irrational also by the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court had promised to deliver a judgment in the appeal of one of those cases, but it has been 4 years and it has not delivered this judgment. The appeal was in one case, so we do not see a reason why these other 2 cases that were also decided by the Constitutional Court are not being, the decisions of those cases are not being implemented. We feel that the judiciary is complicit in the injustices that are happening. We have tried as young people to raise our voices against these gross violations, but our voices and our efforts have been met with brute force. You saw what happened when we tried to march to the Supreme Court to express our dissatisfaction on the 9th of this month. That was last week. We were arrested. Most of us still are here. We were arrested, detained, taken to court. That's also the problem with the judiciary, that you are arresting people that have not committed any crime, that are simply exercising their constitutional right to assemble, to peacefully protest. And that is what happened with the protesters of the March to Parliament protests in July. And we asked every day with the campaign that we started, Judiciary on Trial, and that's why I made sure to wear this today. Why are you remanding people for exercising their rights? So even if we don't even start with the police that arrest us, the judiciary is the arbiter. It is the one that is supposed to dispense justice. These people can get there and it says they did not commit any crime. But common nuisance has become common nuisance, and I think for us they added that we were a common nuisance on the roads or something like that. But the other day we saw people, that 100 people from the Rotary that were marching. For them they did not, I think there were over 100. They did not become common nuisance. But anyone that marches or assembles to express dissatisfaction with what is happening, to criticize how the authorities, their actions or inactions, how they are affecting Ugandans, that is common nuisance. Yesterday also I tried to take a petition to the Chief Justice at the Supreme Court. I was with colleagues here. We reached the gate. You know, this is a public institution. This is a public office. Anyone of us should go in. We reached the gate and we were told that we cannot enter, that we were too many to take a petition. We obliged, because yesterday we had said, let's not even carry any placard if it is what they feared last time. Let's not even make any chance. And we just got to the gate piece and they said, you are too many. We said, okay, we can go into, and they first wanted one, but we insisted that we are more comfortable if 2 of us go in. I was brutally roughed up with so much force. The upper arm is still in pain. I saw someone saying on X that that some media houses spread disinformation by saying I was arrested. Yes, I was arrested. I was first pushed out of the gate. There's a video that I've seen. I didn't even know there was someone who captured it, but that captured that. And then later we were forcefully taken through the basement and not the official route to the offices. So the journalists that were there, that was the last thing they saw. I and Samson Kiria, who is here, we are forcefully taken through the basement, escorted by 5 police people. Us, the small people that you see here, were escorted by 5 police officers after one of them pushed me and grabbed my arm and almost hit me. But we managed to take our petition there. We have a signed copy that we came back with. But that is not the first document we sent to the Supreme Court through the Chief Justice. Agora, the organization I work with, applied for the review of one of the cases that the Supreme Court is sitting on. Up to now, and this was in November, we have not gotten any ruling, any date for sitting. And we wrote again to the Supreme Court and wrote a letter, and we are talking about the urgency of this, because the more you sit on these cases, the more violations we are seeing. We have political prisoners of conscience sitting in prisons and being taken to the court, to the military courts. They are not even tried, they are taken there. There is a case of 32 NUP political prisoners, supporters that were in jail since 2021. Those people I counted because I covered, as a journalist, I covered that case. They went to that court 50 times, and there was no hearing that was happening. So they were forced to falsely implicate themselves because they were told that's how they will come out. And a few of them gave in, and that's how they managed to come out. There are 9 that are still there. We visited 2 of them the other day. And these people are rotting in jail. No one cares about their families. No one cares about the cost of that, and no case has been prosecuted. All this is happening while the Constitutional Court has pronounced itself and said transfer all civilian cases to civilian courts. What are they fearing? Why can't the civilian courts that follow the law and not command and not orders, why can't they be the ones that try these people if truly they committed any of those crimes? I will once again talk briefly about Aaron Kizza and how his case really has made these injustices look as the dangerous trend that we are on. Aaron Kizza is a lawyer that has represented, I think, almost all of us here. He has dedicated himself to service without anyone paying him for it. And that's why we are actually standing up now and saying enough is enough. But now he's in prison, his 3 young children don't know where he is. He was telling me, they were telling his mother that you're lying, our father didn't travel, because when he travels, he calls us. And he said, I have to line up and get a phone and talk to them. His elderly mother traveled all the way from Ndungamo to come and see him in jail. The wreck this is causing to families, to people, I don't know why we have a government and leaders that do not care. Our call to action is that, firstly, to the judiciary, the authorities in this country that are obligated by the law, by the Constitution, to protect citizens, to dispense justice, they should act. They should act in a way that, because there's no one who is immune to this impunity that everyone is perpetuating. Tomorrow it will be someone else. Most of these people do not know that they will be in the same shoes. We have seen how former Prime Minister Amama Mbabazi became a victim of the law he pushed through, the Public Order Management Act. We saw what happened with former Inspector General of Police Kale Kaibula. I would like to tell them that, the rule of law is important for all of us. I would like to call upon Ugandans. We cannot sit we cannot really remain quiet and folding our arms as these things happen. They will happen to everyone. But also we should have that empathy to think about those that are already victims of these injustices. Thank you very much.
Mutendo bannayuganda abatulaba n'abatuuliriza ffe tetwasuze bulungi kubanga singa twabadde twasuze bulungi singa tetuli mu mawulire. Erinnya Nalukwago Judith ndi musawo naye leero si bye bituleese. Olwaleero ekituleese bye bizibu bannayuganda bye tuyitamu. Ekisingira ddala bannayuganda okubatwala mu kkooti z'amagye nga babavunaana emisango egimu wano ne wali kifo ky'obatwala mu kkooti ezivunaanyizibwa kwegyo emisango. Olwaleero tuzze mainly ku counsel Kizza. Mwalaba ebyaliwo yali agenze ku kkooti okukiikirira oba okurepresentinga client we Dr. Kizza Besigye. Naye mulaba engeri gye bamukwatamu ne bamutwala mu kkooti ne bamutusulako ogusango era kkooti y'amagye gy'atalina na kubaamu. Ne bamusiba ne bamugamba agenda kubeera mu kkomera kumala emyezi 9. Ffe ng'aba abavubuka tuzze tubiraba nga bigenda mu maaso ne tukivumirira kubanga bibadde bibeerawo ba political prisoners aba NUP. Tulabye ne Dr. Kizza Besigye naye kimutuuseeko. Tekitegeeza nti no ffe tubeereyo ne tusirika naffe tekigenda tutuukako. Ekintu bwe kituuka ku bantu ng'abo abamanyi amateeka era abagoberera n'okutusinga ate ffe abavubuka abato abali eyo mulowooza ki ekigenda otutuukako. Y'ensonga lwaki tukuŋŋaanye wano okuvumirira ebintu bwe bityo ebigenda mu maaso mu ggwanga ng'abantu basirise. Kooti oba abakulira amakooti Chief Justice tosobola kubeera eyo ng'ebintu bwe biti bigenda mu maaso n'osirika kubanga tukusuubira nti gwokulira amakooti bweba injustice etuse mu makooti olina obbagaidinga naye ebintu ne bigenda nga bibaawo togaidinze ate in fact ogenda mu maaso nabbawa buvumu ogenda mu maaso n'okukola ebintu ebimenya amateeka. Kintu kibi nnyo. Tulabye bakuumaddembe abalina nga bwe tugambye tubayita bakuumaddembe naye nga bebasinga n'okuleeta obukyankalamu. Ffe abavubuka tuvuddeyo ebiseera ebisinga nga twemulugunya ku ngeri gavumenti gyetambuzaamu eggwanga lyaffe ddala mu aspect za corruption. Tulabye corruption buli bw'enguzi buyitirivu era bwe tuvuddeyo okwegugunga oba okuwa obutali bumativu bwaffe nga tutambula. Ndowooza mwalabye Agatha bwe bagenze eggulo okutwalayo ekiwandiiko kyabwe nga beemulugunya ku ngeri ezigenda mu maaso mu kkooti. Naye ekifo ky'okubawuliza kubanga bino ebifo ebya kkooti oba ebifo bya ministries nga tugenzeyo okwemulugunya ffe nga bannayuganda ebyo ebifo bya public byaffe ng'abantu kubanga era tusasula omusolo ababeeramu omusolo sente ze babasasula zaffe. Naye omuntu n'ogenda okutwalayo obutali bumativu bwo kifo ky'okuwuliriza ne bakwata mu ngeri etali mativu engeri etali ntuufu byebyo ebintu ebimu betuvumirira. Tulabye abavubuka bavuddeyo ne bagenda ku street okulaga obutali bumativu bwabwe naye ekifo ky'okubayita oba okutuula nabo oba okwogera nabo oba okukyusaamu mu bintu ebitagenda bulungi poliisi evaayo buvi ebakuba ne babakwata ne babatwala mu makomera ne bamalayo emyezi n'emyezi. Ebintu ng'ebyo ffe abavubuka betuvumirira era n'abantu abakulu abayo tubasaba muveeyo mutujoyininge. Bino ebintu si bipya era bibadde bibeerawo mu myaka egizze giyita ne mu regimes endala bibadde bibeerawo naye bwe tutavaayo bannayuganda bwe tutavaayo nga kitole kimu ne tulwanira bino ebintu leero counsel Kizza yakiriko enkya kijja kubeera gwe wotuvuddeyo n'otikako eddoboozi lyo leero ani anaakuteerako nga gwe bakutte. So bannayuganda bannaffe nga tuzze wano okubakubiriza nti totuuleeyo ne weesirikira kyonna ky'osobola okukola kikole. Oba osobola okuwandiika ku social media yo page yo wandiikako oba osobola okuvaayo n'okijoyininga mu bintu bye tugenda okukola nga tubanja counsel Kizza Dr. Kizza Besigye ne ba political prisoners abalala abali mu kkomera abamazeeyo emyaka egiwera 45 nga babatwala mu military court nga tebalina na musango gwe babagulako oguli awo muveeyo tukyogereko, muveeyo tufune actions etukola okuyimbula abantu baffe kubanga bino ebintu bitukwatako bannanga abavubuka enensi yaffe kyekiseera kyaffe era bw'olaba bino ebintu nga bigenda mu maaso n'osirika batudde ku future yo batudde ku present yo bano abantu banaatera okugenda naye bwetubeerawo ne tusirika tubawo emyaka emirala 45 nga bakyatulinnyirira bwe tutyo. So mbasaba bavubuka bannaffe bannayuganda bannaffe tuveeyo tukwatire wamu tulwanise buno obulyake tulwanise okulinnyirira bannayuganda mu nsi yaabwe. Neyanziza nnyo neyanzege nsigadde Dr. Nalukubabwe Judith.
Fellow colleagues, a reminder of the stark reality of the brutal role of the military that we've been governed under for quite a very long time. It all started as a joke when they started abducting our fellow citizens, and we never said a word about it. Not so long ago, about around last year, 30 supporters and above of FDC were abducted from Kenya and brought back. Speak about corruption and peacefully came together and marched to demand for accountability and demand for the resignation of the speaker. We were brutally arrested and taken to prison, and nothing was said by the majority of Ugandans. Today, as we speak, one of our leaders in the opposition, that is Dr. Kizza and his colleague Obed, in the prison under military court. Sad about it that even the lawyer that has stood up to the occasion to represent them has also been subjected to 9 months of arrest under the same kangaroo court. Ugandans, this is a call to action for us to stand up and do something to bring an end to the military rule that we are faced against. And for the military court, since they are purported to be doing their duty, we also want to call upon them to remind them of what they are responsible about and call to order all the serving military officers that have been making political statements and also promising to behead leaders within this country, and one of them is the CDF of this country. We want to call an end to the subjection of civilians in the court-martial, but also we want to call upon the judiciary that is led by the Chief Justice Alfonso Winidolo, to make a judgment on the case of Kabaziruga for us to know as a nation whether it is constitutional or unconstitutional for civilians to be tried in the court-martial. Thank you.
To vote our leaders and the brutality in which we are met with. We still are traumatized from images of seeing young women, children, and men gunned down on the streets of Kampala. We, as a nation, I don't know if to say that we turned a blind eye or we decided to just move on, but those incidences will not move on from us. Recently, we lost a member of parliament who, for almost 4 years, did not even enjoy his term in office. The people who voted him in office did not even get to enjoy the good leadership that he might have offered them. His people are still suffering, but he told it all of they have to live with the trauma of seeing him paraded before courts, seeing his body deteriorate in front of their eyes and watch on helplessly. So these things are not far away from us. If we do not stand up, and we might look as, it's a thing for activists, it's a thing for politicians, but it affects the common man. If you have a country whereby you cannot speak on the things that affect you, things like cheaties, whenever you want to go and protest about things that affect you personally, people are losing their homes, people are losing their land. And when people rise up to say, okay, this is wrong, you are affecting our livelihood, and they are bundled up, abducted, killed before your eyes, it in a way traumatizes in such a way that we can no longer speak. And when we don't speak, these problems become worse. People continue, your oppressors continue to use these tools of fear against you and do whatever they want to do against you with all the impunity because they know you cannot rise up. I know that it's scary. We are all afraid. But like the former speakers have said, this is our country. You have seen how people have tried to flee their way to other countries and are still mistreated. Either because you do not look like the Arabs, even if you go to the Middle East, no one will treat you better than the Ugandans in your country. You're still a foreigner in other countries. So if we do not fight for our country, if we do not fight to see that sanity is restored, that justice is restored, there's no other place we can run to. So I urge all of us to come together and take a stand. We are all afraid, but they can't kill us all. Let us stand together and let us fight this injustice together. It is only together that we can achieve some level of success and restore some level of sanity. Thank you. Marion Cherabo.
My name is Aloy King, Praise Opoloje. And what I want to add on what everyone has already spoken about is the means. What means can we use to get out of this, conundrum that we have found ourselves in, this deep pit that I want to say we have allowed to keep getting deeper and deeper because we feel like fighting social injustice is not our business. It's the business of specific people. People we have decided to call activists, people we have decided to call bold. And because of that nature, most of us as citizens have sat back. And if young people, for example, rise up and say they are organizing protests or they are speaking up about something, you will see very similar faces. And you may be deceived to think, are these friends, are they paid like most people have said? Is it work? Is it a job? That's not the case. It's because so many times we call out to young people to take action on so many different things, but they sit back because they feel these things do not concern them. They feel scared. They're in some sort of learned helplessness. But I want you to watch the trend of how things have kept getting worse and worse. People no longer do bad things in hiding. They do them in broad daylight. If it's corruption, the president will come and say, yes, they are corrupt people, but what do you want him to do about them? If he arrests all of them, where will the rest go? People in parliament will steal money that is meant to do things that are supposed to make this country better. And when they are held accountable, the speaker who leads them will come up and say that it's okay to steal as long as you're sharing with people. But if you see what they are sharing with people, it's peanuts. People are lying under trees. People are dying in hospitals because there is no medicine. And these are our experiences as Ugandans. And you may want to say there is nothing you can do about it. But I think that's an excuse because there is something you can do about it. Every Ugandan is supposed to live as though activism is their lifestyle. It should be a lifestyle. It shouldn't be something you only do when an issue happens. No. The law is only as important as we are able to breathe life into it, as we are able to hold the people that are our leaders to respect it. And freedom comes at a cost, and that's the bitter truth. The state where we have reached as Uganda, we just have to resort to protests. Protests in everything that we do. Is it in the job that you do? You must hard-handedly protest not to be part of the system that agrees for impunity to continue. You must be part of the young people that are going to speak up about issues in their vicinities. So many of us hold, for example, gadgets. We have phones, smartphones, we have data. But how many times do we report about the issues that happen within our areas, in our villages, the things we see, the things we relate to? How much do we call out these people at the end of the day? And this is the bitter truth as I conclude. It is the bitter truth that if we do not stand up and fight, we may not have guns, but we have other ways to fight. If we do not stand up and fight, they will build nests on our heads, they will lay eggs, and those eggs will also make more nests on our heads, and we shall just become trees in a forest that cannot stand up and defend themselves. But now is the chance. When we still have that little hope, when we still have working institutions, when we still have the ability to speak and have people listen to us, when we still have a pretense of a democracy, we have a pretentious right to vote, we can go to the streets and protest, and they'll slap a few charges on us here and there. But there is still that little hope that exists. If we let this chance go, we shall be worse than the countries you read about in Saudi Arabia. We shall be worse than the Libyas you see today that are torn in war. This country is ours, and we must claim it back. They can fight us, they can push us, they can arrest us, they can even kill us, but this country is ours, and we must fight for it.
Engeri amateeka gye gatwalibwamu betusuubira nti be balina okwasa amateeka nga bwe galina otambula basirise batunulidde injustice yonna egenda mu maaso nga tebafaayo kyeki kinaabeerawo enkeera. Ffenna tuzze tubiraba ebigenda mu maaso ng'abantu aba bulijjo babatwala mu makooti g'amagye gye batalina kuwozesebwa, naye olw'embeera nti tuli mu mbeera ya military rule, nti buli kimu kitambulira mu bya military, ensonga lwaki olaba nti ne civilian atamanyi yadde kukuba kasaale bamutwala mu kooti y'amagye, kubanga enkola y'amagye yeekolera ku orders, tekolera kyabasazeewo kye kiba kirina okukolebwa. Ensonga lwaki mulaba nti kooti we zituula ez'amagye tebatunulira nnyo nti constitution egamba ki, era kyekyatuuka ku counsel waffe counsel Kizza, nti tebafaayo kulaba constitution egamba ki nti omuntu waba okay in case amenye amateeka ga kooti alina kutwalibwa atya era alina kuweebwa kibonerezo ki. So bo okusinziira nti bakolera ku orders zaabwe basalawo ne bamuteeka ekitalya emyezi 9. Naye ebintu bino bizze nga bibawo ku bannayuganda bangi, mwabiraba ku baana ba political prisoners nti babatwala mu kooti z'amagye nga si bannamagye. Currently waliyo Dr. Kizza yadde yali munnamagye naye yagavaamu takyali munnamagye, civilian kati talina kuwozesebwa mu kooti y'amagye, alina kubeera mu civilian courts. Courts nyingi ezisobola okuwozesa abantu abatali bamagye, naye nga wengambye nti tuli mu mbeera nti tuli ku military rule, nti omaliriza nga yadde toli wa magye bakututte mu magye. So omulanga gwange eri bannayuganda bonna nti abantu bangi batunuulira ebintu bino nga byakusaaga ne basirikira yonna gye bali. Emabegako awo omwaka oguwedde mu Gw'omusanvu twavaayo ne tulangirira okutambula mu ddembe nga tulaga obutali mu mativu olw'enguzi ennyingi esuukiridde mu ggwanga lyaffe, era nga tusaba sipiika alekulire, kubanga ffe abalina sipiika aliko sanctions olw'obuli bw'enguzi, naye nga gavumenti tefaayo kutunula mu kintu ng'ekyo nti omuntu akulira institution yonna like legislature naaba nga aliko sanctions because nti aliko gundi y'enguzi, naye nga temufaayo kutekinga action about omuntu akulira institution eyo. Kyennyamiza. So ng'abavubuka twavaayo ne tulaga obutali bumativu bwaffe nga twekalakaasa mu ddembe, kubanga kikirizibwa mu mateeka okwekalakaasa mu ddembe n'olaga obutali bumativu bwo eri eggwanga lyo ku bigenda mu maaso nga si birungi. Naye baatukwata ne batusiba ne batwala mu kooti, era abasinga kuffe wano tuli ku bail kubanga twavaayo ne tulaga obutali bumativu ekiri mu constitution nti kikirizibwa, naye lwakuba nti saawa zino ebintu bitambulira ku bikukuju, ekituufu kati kyekikyamu, ekikyamu kati kyekituufu kyebatambulirako. Kati yensonga lwaki olaba nti ne recently last week era ng'abavubuka twavaayo ne tulaga obutali bumativu bwaffe, neera baamaliriza nga batukutte nga batutaddeko era ekisango kya nuisance, kwegamba kifuuse nga kya bulijjo nti buli gwe bakwata bamuteekako kisango ekyo, naye nga tuba tetumenye mateeka kubanga tugoberera amateeka, yadde abamu tetuli banamateeka, naye at least tugezaako okugobera amateeka nga bwe gatugamba ne tukola ekyo amateeka kye galagira. Naye nga wengambye nti ensi kati tetambulira ku mateeka, etambulira ku orders, era orders zivaayo ne ziyita nti abo mubakwate mubaziteeke eruzira. So embeera eyo ennyamiza nti bannayuganda basinga bali silent. Twalaba abasuubuzi nga ffe tuvuddeyo tubayise twegatte wamu nga bannayuganda tulage obutali mativu nga basirise nga balaga bali comfortable, naye emabegako awo muze mubalaba nga nabo balajjana. So kino tekiri ku munnayuganda omu yekka, tekiri ku oyo ali mu kkomera kati, naawe yadde oli bweru naye nkukakasa nti oli mu kkomera. So ke kaseera nga bannayuganda tuveeyo tusitule amaloboozi gaffe mu ngeri yonna gy'osobola. N'oba osobola kwogerera ku ssimu yo yonna gy'oli, please mbadde mbasaba situla eddoboozi lyo mu ngeri yonna gy'osobola, olage nti ekigenda mu maaso tukiwagira era tukiwakanya era tukivumirira ne sekuvumirira yonna. Nja kusaba nkomaawo era neyanziza nnyo olw'akakisa kano.
Tuize aha kworeka ngu ebintu bimwe ebiriyo nibibaho mu ihanga ryaitu tukwikirizana nabyo twosere nitugamba ndi omwe abantu abagire aha street tukekarakasa ahabwo oburwenguzo buriyo mu ihanga konka nibingi ebiriyo nibibaho. President Museveni kuyarebera ihanga ndirga aha muramwana bakore barikwenda yaza omu kishaka yarwana takiriho kishaka taina kuzaguza turwane konka tuzakozesa amaraka gaitu kugamba nibakwata abantu babata omu kooti ezirikuhenda amateeka ezitarikwikirizibwa. Omuntu utari omusirikare utaragiire ha training y'obusirikare y'amahe tashemereire kuza omu kooti y'amahe. Kooti y'amahe bakagitaho kutamu emitwe omu basirikare. Hariho nangu naba kugira ngo omuntu kwarikuba aine embundu naba yaba omusirikare. No, obusirikare ni nk'oko kugamba omushaho korukwata ekikatu wateera omuntu ekikatu kikumanyisa ngu waba omushaho. Obushaho nibabushoma. So omusirikare naza ha training nibaba baine n'enamba zaabo. Omuntu wena utaratungire training y'amahe akatunga enamba akaza omu system y'amahe naba atari omusirikare ashemereire kuza omu kooti z'abantu ba buriijo. Nimureba Dr. Kizza bakamukwata bamuta omu kooti y'amahe bamwiha omu ihanga erindi ekitakwikirizibwa bahenda amateeka ago. Ba lawyers abaizire kumuhorereza kandi nabo babakwata. Aaron Kizza ari omu kihomesha ahegi n'omunyamateeka t'omusirikare bamuta omu kooti y'amahe bamucwera amezi 9. So kuturugamba ha bintu ebi ngu waaba ekipinga konka imwe barikutweta ebipinga nikyenda mutayayeho omu bihome mureba abantu banyu akushara baingi eki narebere kunagira omu kihome abantu abari omu bihome tibarikumanywa abanyabuzaare babo nibabarunda tibakumanya ei bari konka tibaine emishango. So okugamba ntweta abanya-Uganda mwena ekiti ky'oruhongo ogu n'omunyankore ogu n'omuganda ogu n'omuki abanya-Uganda mwena tushemereire kwemerera tukarwanirira ihanga tukareba ngu ihanga nirikorera twena tihariho omuhango tihariho omukye tihariho omuraingwa tihariho omugufu twena nituhikwa ahabwokuba twena nitushashura omushoro. Mwebare munonga.
Kati gwe bwoba mutiitiizi nga tosobola kuyimirira noyogera novumirira kubanga tetulimba naawe okiraba tetulimba nti Kizza Besigye bamukwatire Nairobi mu ngeri enkyamu ng'akyadde Nairobi ne bamuleeta ne bamutwala mu kooti y'amagye. Before that abalala bamemba ba FDC babakwatire Nairobi Kisumu nabo ne babaleeta. Aaron Kizza kubanga nze njagala wabeewo Munnayuganda agamba nti ekintu kye bakola Aaron Kizza nti bakkiriziganya nakyo. Waliwo abagamba yali yayisa bubi he conducted himself badly naye sure tulina constitution etuwa eddembe freedom of expression. Kati nze bwe njogera yange neekunyiiza bw'ogamba nti tuwa omuntu obuyinza bw'aba tayagadde engeri gye njogeddemu ngende mukomera myezi 9 waliwo tugenda kusigaza abantu wano. Oluganda lwange si lulungi nnyo waliwo
nti buli tulaba nga abantu bavuddeyo mu ngeri y'okwemulugunya tukirabye ku social media sometimes ku X tukirabye ne mu TV buli wamu ne bwe twavaayo okwemulugunya mu biseera bya March to Parliament twalaba nga omukulembeze Mr. Museveni yasooka okwogera nti waliyo ba foreign funders waliyo abantu abateekamu ssente neffe kyetulaba nti eyo reason ekooye bafuneyo endala. Kwawe tuvaayo okwemulugunya oba okulaga obutali bumativu ebintu bye tuba twemulugunyaako biba gyebiri biba bituufu. Bwe tuze wano ne tugamba nti Dr. Kizza Besigye temulina mugereza mu makooti g'amagye kiba kituufu. Baba nga gavumenti oba buli omu awulira nti buli tuvaayo okwemulugunya tuba kubanga batuwadde ssente oba tusasuddwa balekerawo okukola ebyo ebintu ebikyamu so that naffe tuba tetulina byakwogerako tufe obwavu. ebyokwogerako biveewo naye buli lwe tuvaayo okwemulugunya bava ku kiri kye tuba twemulugunyizaako nti speaker of parliament abadde abba ssente nti baministers abamu buli omu gwe baba balazeeko nti abaddemu ebintu ebitali bituufu byakoze naye bavaayo ne bagamba bano abali mu kwekalakaasa bano abali mu kukyogerako basasuddwa ne bakosooke baddemu kiri kye tuba tujeeyo kye tuba turaisinze ensonga gye tuba tuleese nti nga saawa zino tugambye Dr. Kizza Besigye mumugye muki mu kooti z'amagye mumutwala awozesebwe mu kooti z'abantu vaayo kwemulugunya ku ngeri gye bakuttemu ensonga ze era bwe tutosobola gamba nti tusasulwa era si kyekintu ekisobola otuziyiza okubaako nga twemulugunya ku bintu ebitali bituufu mu ggwanga.
Omubbi nga bba n'omugamba nti oli mu kubba bw'omusuubirayo okusirika era naye ajja kuvaako akuteekeko ekigambo. Kati bino ebintu bye twogerako tebitandise leero, buli muntu avaayo okwogera ku gavumenti eno babaako kye bamuteekako. Okitegeera bavuddeyo ne bagamba nti abamu bali babisiyaga, abalala bafuna ssente, abalala naye nga ffe tuli bavubuka ba bulijjo mu mbeera eya bulijjo. Okitegeera so ekyo propaganda ng'ekigambo bwe kiri bibadde bibeeranga ate nno ekyewuunyisa ssente ze banditadde mu kutereeza eggwanga baziteekamu ebyo mu propaganda era ssente nyingi nnyo ezitambulira awo. So temwewuunya n'enkya we banaakeera ne bagamba nti oyo atta abantu, abalala bakwata emmundu ne bazibateera mu mamotoka gaabwe ne bagamba oyo alina emmundu. So obukulembeze buno obuli obusobola okukola ekintu kyonna naye nga bwe baba bagamba nti bwe baba bagamba nti kino tukifunamu ssente balekeraawo okukola ebyo bye twemulugunyaako tugende tufe obwavu.
Mu kooti ez'abanamagye bizinesi y'aba activist egwe solution weeri. So nga Shamim bwagambye this propaganda is tired. Kikooye tufune script empya kwe tuba tutambulira neyanziza.
We had jobs before, you know. You have had exactly. In fact, it's this that takes away from where we would make money. That takes us away from where we would make money. I think here people have said that doctors are more than two. I am a journalist. I am a lawyer. I am experienced enough, and I think I'm not even the dumbest to say that I can't get a job. So and for me it's important that Ugandans out there. I'm not even addressing those that say it because they are not worth anyone's time. If you can't see what's happening, not doing anything about it is bad enough. But you say, I'm going to go and attack those doing something about it, and every day make sure that they are mentally exhausted from this and not the actual what is supposed to be done. I really have I despise you not to even address you, but I want to address Ugandans that see them for the nonsense it is. Like we have asked here, if they come to you as a Ugandan and say our activists, they are looking for money, they are working for imperialists or whatever, the first thing you should ask, is corruption there, yes or no? Because we came out still, the team I work with at Agora, and put out corruption vividly of this is how much money one person withdraws for her use a week. We put money, people sat and said we are paying ourselves what? Service award. At the beginning of first of all it was illegal, but it was paid at the beginning of their tenures. All those things were there. So when people say we are not going to keep quiet as this happens, while people die in hospitals, we lose 16 women every day in labor. And I have done research that shows that 90% of these deaths are because there's no surgical blade, because there's no doctor, so Ugandans should ask themselves, as long as you see that what we are raising is there, the subject of today's interaction with you is the military courts and how they are treating people and the impunity. Because we are not saying people shouldn't be tried. I've never said that if Kizza Besigye committed a crime, he shouldn't be tried. That if the NUP supporters, the 32 that included Olivia Altaya, committed crimes, they shouldn't be tried. But there are courts that are mandated by the law to do that. You take them to military courts, their excessiveness and high-handedness that we have seen, there's no justice there. You fail to prosecute, because at the end of the day, this is political persecution. People who say we are paid, are they seeing these things, yes or no? But like my two colleagues have said, let our leaders do what the law requires them to do. Let our leaders do what they are supposed to do. Let our leaders not steal public resources. Let our leaders not ignore injustices and crimes and impunity and treat other people as if they are above the law. And let us not get money, because we'll have nothing to challenge, to raise. Thank you very much.
The Karamoja sub-region, there were thousands of youth that were arrested or abducted or kidnapped. You can find a suitable word for it. He wanted to let them, he wanted to let the judicial system start reviewing their cases. Imagine you collect youth. Now, for people who do not know it, is that we had issues of cattle stealing in Karamoja sub-region. So what happened is this: they went to the villages and started abducting youth. Whether you were doing your hotel business, people were teachers, they were all abducted, kidnapped and taken to a beach. From there, they were taken to court-martial. Because court-martial makes it easier. You reach there, you're sentenced. You reach there, you're sentenced. So they are all packed in prison. And my point is, it doesn't matter whether you're talking about it or you're not talking about it. You can fall victim at any time. Because who knew that Counsel Kizza Aaron would be court-martialed? No one knew it, because you don't expect him to carry a gun at any one point. But to an extent that it came out of nowhere and is already court-martialed. So when you see the things happening and you don't talk about it, but you want to attack those talking about it, it makes, I don't know how I can describe you. Then my last message goes to Uganda Law Society. Ugandans gave you a lot of hope. We should remember that the vote that brought the current president was a protest vote. That even the local men got concerned, even us who are non-lawyers got concerned. And we had to talk to our lawyer friends that this is the right man for the job. Even if we are seeing, okay, we know his characters, but of all the candidates, we said, okay, this is the competent one. This is the time to bank them. We need someone who is radical, but within the law. But when you reach there and then you begin issuing just letters, we are not seeing any impact. And we all got disappointed that the president of the Law Society can go and convince Counsel Aaron to apologize to General Muhoozi. We're like, okay, during his sentencing, there was nothing related to Muhoozi. Why is Muhoozi coming in this picture right now? What is the apology for? Because we are saying you came telling us that you stand for the rule of law. Why don't we let the rule of law prevail? So my message to the Uganda Law Society is, when you betray people, we are in a time of revolution, and it is high time you realize that when you betray people during the time of revolution, you are going to become a collateral damage. It is better you wake up right now and get back on track. I think I summarized my
n'abalwanyizi b'eddembe Agatha abaali mu meeting n'abalala wano abaali mu nalimu, naye ebimu ku balawyers mwalimu ndowooza bannamateeka abasukka nga 5. Ebimu ku bye baasalawo okukola kwe kwekalakaasa nga bannamateeka, naye ne bagamba katugende twebuuze ku pulezidenti waffe wa Uganda Law Society. Bwe baatuukayo yabikuba, yagayeba ebyokwekalakaasa tebiriimu, ye alaba ng'okuwandiika ebiwandiiko ate nga banne abaali bakulembera omukulembeze yavaako owundo. Bwe yajja bwe yali amudikampeininga yagamba nti abadde awandiika ebiwandiiko, naye ebiwandiiko byakawandiika bisinga n'ebyoli ekisanja kyonna kye yamalawo. So aleme kwebuzaabuza, asituke akulembere balooya be bamu abantu betusuubiramu tukulembera mu bino ebintu ebyemirembe byagaana. Kati tuyina ate nno n'okwekalakaasa kya mirembe kuba kiri mu mateeka, naye ate ffe kyetusuubira nti kati kyetusigazza kati yo okutukeera imagine njagala omuntu okubemu ekifaananyi ne balooya abali wano. Singa Semakadde yakulembera balooya 10 nga bambadde nga balooya ne batwala petition mu kifo kya Agatha yekka n'abantu nga 2-3 balooya nga 10, golowooza impact yakyo yandibadde ki? Naye ali eno bw'alya bwe yeebuzaabuza abalina kye bakolako bw'agamba mbu babawa ssente kati tetumanyi nani gwe tugenda kola ki, so emmeeza sima tetumanyi gyazikubira.